made my heart beat once more. But someone put a thorn at its core. And each time we take a step, oh, it makes me feel that same old pain again.
Oxjam Cheltenham are here with one of our performers, Dan Hartland. Hi Dan, thanks very much for coming along today.
Thank you.
How would you describe your music and what would you say are your biggest influences?
Oh dear. Okay, so influences, that's always a question that sort of musicians dread because I suppose your influences are everything that you've ever heard, whether you've liked it or whether you've not. If you've hated it, it's going to make you write a certain song in just the same way as if you liked something. So I guess I'd like not to answer your question, but in the interest of politeness, there's all sorts of people. There's chaps like Hank Williams from way back when in the sort of 40s and early 50s, and then right through sort of the 60s folk boom with Dylan and Phil Ox and all that sort of stuff, right through to modern people like Ryan Adams and that sort of thing. But really, it's everyone. You know, I listen to Ben Folds 5, I listen to Mountain Goats, and you might not be able to hear them necessarily in how I play, but they've informed me just as much as anyone else.
You mentioned about like moving through. So how has your music evolved as from when you began to now?
I sort of started off as a really bad mod, so like the worst mod you could imagine, and so I like Weller and Ocean Colour Scene and them Small Faces and that sort of thing. So I started off with that, and then I sort of went backwards. A lot of people sort of do it the other way around, but I thought, why not? And I went back to the sort of 30s and 40s, and I like sort of old blues and old country a lot. So I kind of did it backwards, but I like to think that because I started off with the mod thing, there's a bit of Britishness inside the sort of Americana-y folk that I do.
Yeah, fair enough. You released your album Young Man's Game back in March. Have you sold many copies?
Yeah, I've sold a lot. My mum has a lot of storage space. So she's got an awful lot of them going on. Bless her. No, I've sold not too bad. It's always difficult for any musician pushing wares and merchandise, but it's a lot where the money is these days.
But do you find it difficult to sell music in this day and age with the advent of free music download sites?
No, because I don't put my music on free music download sites, so there's no choice if they want it. No, I think it's the same as ever. The trick for a musician is the same that it's always been. It's to play songs that people respond to. And if they respond to those songs, then in some way they'll reward you for it. And whether they're on that, that's just click and follow on Twitter or come into a show or buying a CD if they really want to. You know, that's not compulsory. In some way they will reward you for writing something that they like.
Yeah, for sure. So you don't use Bandcamp, Spotify or SoundCloud to share your music?
I do not. No, I'm a Luddite.
Okay, fair enough. In your album, do you have a favourite song?
Yes, yeah. So there's a song called Tie and Shoe, which is very personal, and is one of the simplest songs on the album as well. So there's a lot of instrumentation on the album. There's cellos and violins and pianos and double bass. But I just like the one that's just me, a guitar and an accordion, because I'm antisocial like that.
And how did the song come about?
It came about with me sitting with a guitar in front of a notepad, which is how most of them start. But it's about actually a really great music night that happened in Birmingham several years ago now. If you talk to anyone who was in Birmingham at the time, because I'm from there originally, they'll all talk about a night called Saturday Night at the Queen's, which was just this wonderful thing that musicians sometimes get if they're lucky, where a community pops up from nowhere. And the song's about that, really.
Okay, fair enough. And where did you grow up? You just mentioned Birmingham.
Yeah, so I grew up in Birmingham, a little bit way out of Birmingham, in a place called sort of Bearwood or Worley, for those with real local knowledge. And I've been here in Cheltenham for about 4 years.
And how long have you been writing music and singing?
Well, I've been writing music for a long time because I'm sort of classically trained in the B-flat euphonium, which is a small, sort of really small tuba. So I've been writing music for a while, since I was at school, really. But songwriting started sort of 16, 17, something like that.
And how did you start out as a musician?
So I started out by playing recorder, as all good musicians do. So I started playing Busy Busy Bee.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just got the bug. No pun intended.
No. And what instruments do you play, or can you play?
Depends to what level of quality. My main instrument's a guitar, but I still play euphonium. I play trumpet. I've got a bit of mandolin, a bit of banjo. I can blow a note down a harmonica if you make me.
Okay, and was it one moment in your childhood when you realised you wanted to be a singer, like an instant realisation?
No, because what I'm really interested in is words. So I started off writing and just wanted to be a writer, and not really knowing what I wanted to write. And it just so happened that I wound up liking the challenge of linking the words with melodies. So I'm not sure that. I think it happened by accident. Hopefully a happy accident, but...
Yes, absolutely. You mentioned words. Do you have a favourite childhood book?
Yeah, so I'm going to be really straightforward and dull and say it was The Hobbit by Tolkien. It was just one of those books that sort of grabs you when you're a kid.
It is a very good book. You must have had some bad days. Has there been a moment where you wanted to quit? And who or what helped you through those times?
It's funny you should mention that, because there's a song on the new album, which is entitled Young Man's Game. And it's called Young Man's Game. And it's a song about... and it's not necessarily about songwriting, but it's a song about plugging away at something and maybe sometimes not getting everything that you want out of it.
Sure.
And there was a time when I wasn't writing a great deal. But funnily enough, what I was talking about, community, that musicians sometimes find if they're lucky. There's a great thing up in Birmingham called the Songwriters Cafe, which is run by a folk singer called Paul Murphy. And I did that 2 or 3 years ago now, and that kickstarted me again. So I guess relatively recently, I put pause on recording. And community with other musicians made me go.
And from the worst to the best, what was your best gig?
You know, I don't want to offend any of the other gigs.
No, sure, but there must be one that stands out.
Yeah, there are several. You know, like the Saturday Night at the Queen's that I mentioned. Some of those nights up in Birmingham were great. But I'd really like to mention the Cheltenham Underground house shows, actually, which happen right here in Cheltenham, run by a great promotions company called Cheltenham Underground. And they are superb shows. And I played one in May. And just the welcome and the atmosphere and the other acts in the audience were just great.
Perfect. And is there anything you want to share with us? Any upcoming albums, tours? You mentioned something earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always around. So I'm based in Cheltenham, so I'm always playing in Cheltenham. I'm playing the Walk the Line Festival just before Oxjam, and then just after Oxjam, I'll be at the Frog and Fiddle again. So yeah, just check danhartland.com.
And do you have another album on the way?
I do, actually. So I've got enough songs for a new album. But obviously, this one's only just come out. It's always the way.
Yeah.
You release an album and you're bored with it already. I'm not bored with it. But there should be one along in the next sort of 12 months or so.
And if I wanted to buy your current album, where would I go?
You can go to danhartland.com, or you can accost me in the street.
Fabulous. I'll accost you in the street. Thank you so much for coming along today and chatting to us. It was lovely meeting you. And you can see Dan play live at Cheltenham Oxjam Takeover on October the 18th at 10 p.m. in the 21 Club. Get your tickets online now, www.wegottickets/Oxjam Cheltenham.
You made my heart beat once more, but someone put a thorn at its core. And each time we take a step, ooh, it makes me feel that same old pain again. I ain't using tons of phrase or metaphors. When you press that chest to mine, oh baby, those ain't tears of joy, you see me cry. Yes, and all this time I've been nursing this here wound like a child of mine. Yes, it sees me through in the absence of all else it has to do. Tell the truth, I pity you. You're trying to win a heart whose days are through. Used to be an article, pain is the only heat I need to know. Yes, and all this time I've been nursing this here wound like a child of mine. Yes, it sees me through in the absence of all else it has to do. and nothing's gonna change